very special edition of MIAA Monday. Yeah, it's going to be Thursday when this airs, but special edition. We're out here in Evansville, Indiana. The Elite Eight. We're down to the Final Four, the Division II men's basketball tournament. Commissioner Mike Racy, thank you for joining me out here. As you know, there's already an MIAA representative team out here, but feels like we were just here last year for everything too.
It does. Bearcats are starting to make their winter home in Evansville. But Chris, it's good to be with you, and not in a Zoom box, but
Yes.
chatting live, and have a chance to talk a little bit about basketball.
What have you kind of seen so far of just this postseason from the men's side of things? You were out here on Tuesday, but also, the women's side of things, having Missouri Western make the Elite Eight for the first time in 30 years, and a different team making it that far in the MIAA too.
Yeah, our philosophy as a conference is that we do everything to help prepare our teams for success in the NCAA in the postseason. And, I think you could say that certainly the success we had this year in both the men's regional and the women's regional, two schools that had to go on the road to win a regional title, that MIAA schools were ready and prepared. And, there are a number of examples of things that we do, but, one that you and I have talked about before is in all three divisions, the NCAA is using a new basketball this postseason.
Yeah.
And we worked really hard December and January to make sure that all of our schools could get basketballs to practice with, men's and women's basketballs. And we made the decision to use those new basketballs in our conference tournament. Not every conference in Division I or Division II did that. We did. We thought it'd be a good way to let our schools experience that before they got into the NCAA tournament. The ball's a little different, It's bounces a little different texture to it. So, so I'm happy that as a conference, our philosophy is that we want to prepare teams and student athletes for success in the postseason. And, certainly so far, looks like we've had some success doing that this year.
Between the two tournaments, 7 MIAA teams getting in, 3 on the men's side, 4 on the women's side. The regional final on the women's side saw 2 MIAA teams.
Yeah.
Fort Hays, Missouri Western kind of pulling the Cinderella story there. Men's side, Northwest went against the Northern Sun team with Augustana. But as you look at how everything kind of unfolded, we knew there was a chance on the women's side that there would be an all MIAA regional. Does that matter, or do you kind of embrace that there's 2 MIAA champion teams playing a championship like that?
I think it's great. It's great for the conference. On the men's side, we saw Washburn as a 7th seed, I believe, that scored a big upset, and Washburn and Northwest had to match up in the semifinals. But we saw it play out in volleyball. I think we had 4 or 5 MIAA schools in the volleyball regional, and it's exciting, I think, for our schools to have that kind of success. As we've talked before, MIAA and men's basketball, women's basketball, football leads the country in attendance. And, certainly in the postseason, our fans show up. We just witnessed that in Kansas City with the conference tournament. And I think those things help prepare our schools for postseason. Schools that have a chance in a conference tournament to play in front of a big crowd, a postseason game, a meaningful game. But to your point, it's great what happened on the women's side. And I wish, Chris, and I know we'll probably get into this a little bit, but I wish there was a system in Division II that allowed 2 teams from the MIAA, if they're deserving and they make it through the bracket, to match up for a national championship, whether that's football or volleyball or basketball. Those opportunities should be there if those are the 2 best teams.
Let's jump into that, because that's been kind of a hot topic on social media this week too, is the regional format. You and I have talked about why it's been put in place for so long. Some of it, cost, efficiency, and everything like that. But is there a way out of regional, postseason tournaments at this point for Division II, or is this a process we're kind of maybe stuck with for a little bit while longer because, like we've talked about, you have 4 or 5 volleyball teams get in. You have 4 basketball. You have 3 men's basketball, football. You always
had
try to
3
get
this year,
3,
yeah.
and you know you're not going to get 4 just because of regionalization. Is there a way out of regionalization and get into this at-large looking postseason tournaments?
Well, my belief is that the philosophy is a good one. The principle is a healthy one for Division II athletics, but the model's outdated, and I think it's time that we can take a hard look at that and make some adjustments and fix it. And now's the time. There's a review going on within the NCAA Division II, taking a look at policies and financial issues and our governance structure. And so now's the time. But I really believe, the philosophy's sound. We want, in our division, we want intercollegiate athletics as being fully integrated with the institution, including the institution's budgeting process for us as an athletics department to be good stewards of institutional resources to try to minimize travel expenses and play schedules where teams are playing close to home. That's sound philosophy, but the model we're using for postseason, it's outdated, and I don't think it leads to a healthy student experience. Our students deserve better than what we're doing in postseason right now. And Chris, a lot of people don't realize this. I know a little bit about the philosophy and the way things happen because I spent 20 years working at the NCAA, but a lot of folks don't realize that regionalization for Division II, it was put in place in the 1980s. It was put in place when Division II had less than 200 members. It's 50% larger now. It was put in place before the division had guaranteed resources through a CBS basketball contract. It was put in place where there were really very clear divisions between kind of the geographical boundaries of where conferences were, and the regional assignments made some sense. Right now in the state of Missouri, we've got 4 or 5 schools in the state of Missouri: Drury, Rockhurst, Missouri S&T, William Jewell, UMSL. That those programs, if they qualify for NCAA postseason, they're in a different region than Central Missouri and Missouri Southern, and that doesn't make any sense. And so there's a way to do this better. And Division II now has the resources that it didn't have when regionalization was put in place to do things different in postseason assignments and the way that brackets are made and the way teams are selected. Division III, the NAIA, for their at-large selections, they have a national evaluation. They can compare teams from the East Coast and the West Coast. They can make decisions for at-large berths, who are the most deserving programs to be rewarded with an NCAA championship experience. And I believe in Division II, it's really time that we find those tools that we need as a division. Whether it's our own Division II rating index or whatever it is to help determine strength of conference, strength of program, the strength of your season, and be able to measure that. That's where we need to be investing our resources as a division and providing our student athletes the type of postseason experience that they deserve.
And this is me just throwing something against the wall at this point. I'll use basketball as the example because that's what season we're in, but could you do 4 regions like the Division One tournament is, and just go like a West region, put 16 teams in there? Or, I mean, you have to work through logistics though.
Sure.
But is that a more plausible way to
It
put them
could
in
be.
there?
Yeah, it could be, and I would love that to be looked at. We have a super regional model in football. We have 4 regions in football, not 8, and now it's a smaller bracket, and there are other issues that make football a little different than some of the other regional formats. But maybe that's the model that we need to look at. Maybe we need to agree as a division that the regional boundaries get changed every so often. So you're not, the MIAA and the Northern Sun isn't always together in trying to determine the 8 teams that go to the volleyball regional, and then the 1 team out of those 2 power conferences that get to go to the Elite 8. Maybe in certain sports we need to be in different regions with different conferences than we are in other sports. Maybe we shouldn't be. You're in this region for everything. So there's a lot of things to look at, but I really believe, Chris, that the way that we're selecting the teams as at-larges for postseason NCAA is not the best we can do. And as a division, we've always stepped up, when it's time to really pull the covers back and study something and try and fix it and be a little innovative, be a little creative to do things that provide our student athletes in Division II a first-class experience. We've shown that we can do that as a division, and I think this is the time to do that with regionalization.
I'll get you out of here on this one, and it just kind of popped in my mind, but it's kind of giving more credit to Division II. Bill Self in Kansas were getting ready to play Creighton and Ryan Hawkins this past weekend so you go back to the round of 32, I think is what it was at that point. And he talked about just how good Division II basketball is, that people sleep on it sometimes. But there's some differences, but to have the respect kind of being given to Division II whenever maybe at times it's, oh, that's Division II or that's Division III or whatever it may be, but to have that kind of out there, does that kind of help maybe attract more kids to say Division II is an okay place for me to go to?
Yeah, I certainly hope so, and I hope a lot of people are looking at what the MIAA continues to do as far as quality basketball programs, great coaches, great facilities to compete in. Night in, night out, playing in front of large crowds, passionate fans. But yeah, Coach Self knows what he's talking about. He's got a couple of close friends that are coaching in the conference too, in Brett Ballard and Jeff Boschee, and he knows about the MIAA. And the thing that I think underscores really what basketball thinks about Division II is that there are 2 sports that CBS, or 2 championships that CBS wanted and wants, continues to want, when it signed his $1 billion contract with the NCAA, and that's March Madness and the Division II basketball championship game. That game on Saturday will feed into the 4 regional finals that will be on Saturday. And CBS, they know what they've got, and they've seen a lot of exciting national championship games, and they believe that product, that game, is worthy of being on their platform. And it says a lot, I think, about our division, about the quality of basketball, about the quality of the coaches that are coaching at the Division II level. There's some legends that are in this Final Four that's left on the men's side, and some coaches that have had chances to go other places, and they've stayed. They believe in Division II. But yes, I think without a doubt, there's hopefully thousands of kids all across the United States that realize that they're going to be good enough to play in college, And I hope a lot of them take a close look at Division II.
Talking about the Final Four, we're just right there. 2 games left to decide who will be the national championship. Special edition of MIAA Monday here with Commissioner Mike Racy out here in Evansville. Appreciate you coming on and doing this, and looking forward to hopefully 2 more games that we get to see in person. At least I get to see in person.
Absolutely, yeah. Tomorrow's going to be a fun day. Should be 2 really exciting games. Black Hills State and Northwest, I think, will get after it. And then the second game after that, Augusta and IUP, some teams that have been here before.
Yep.
I think it'll be a great day for Division II basketball. And we need to do this more often. We need to get together in person and do these chats. I've had a lot of fun today, so thank you.
Absolutely. It feels weird not to be behind the computer.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
this feels good. So thank you for coming on, sir.
You bet. Good to see you, Chris.